Hello and welcome to the next episode of podcast Digital Twin, and today we will talk about digital transformation manager and his role in a smart factory. Stay tuned.
Digital Twin Podcast is a place where technology and business is going hand in hand.
If you are thinking about digitalizing your company, you found the right place.
Podcast is hosted by Adrian Stelmach, consultant who implements IT solutions for manufacturing companies.
And Paul Pachowicz, industrial digitalization expert, who helps global companies to optimize production processes. Hey Adrian, digital transformation manager. I feel like every manager is a digital transformation manager these days, as the topic of constantly evolving technology is present in every single company. Some companies they have this tendency to kind of not paying too much attention to it, but for me every manager should be digital transformation manager. How do you define digital transformation manager?
First of all, I have to agree with you. I mean, the role of digitalization and computing technology nowadays, it's common, and we see it everywhere. And it's hard to imagine how to not use technology in any kind of business, especially if you are dealing with big teams, which you have managed, and you have to communicate with them. You have to analyze reports and so on. But role of digital transformation manager is very specific, and it's not only related in manufacturing companies, of course, but it's a role which you can define that this is a person, a manager, who's responsible for transforming the current state of the company to a more digital one.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. For me, it's basically improving efficiency and the ability to optimize processes, but also that person needs to be aware and kind of focused on the technologies that support Industry 4.0.
Yeah, it's a specific role because it's like mostly in companies you can say you have two different worlds, right? This is the more technical one, and they're not more business focused one, and more technical one. And digital transformation manager need to have skills from both of those worlds. So that's why it's difficult to learn, because most of people are from one world and they have to learn the other one, and so on.
Interesting. Let's talk about the skills of that DTM, which stands for Digital Transformation Manager. As I'm more on the business side, you're more on the technical side. So, if we join forces, we would be the ideal digital transformation manager. But what about the skills, the main skills that in your opinion are crucial for DTM?
It depends, because it's always in every company it's different. Because, for example, it depends on what are your tools to transform the company. Are you using outsourcing companies, outsourcing people? Are you using outsourced teams, for example, to write code or implement robotics automation, or you're responsible for internal teams? But in general, you can say that digital transformation manager is someone between the board, so between the strategy of the company regarding to digitalization, and between the people which are inside the company who need to help with this transformation, and between people who are doing this transformation. So as I said, outsourced forces or internal forces. So you have three different, I would say, groups of stakeholders, and you're between them. So you need to, you're sometimes you need to be a translator from one world to another, as we said before. Sometimes you need to be more like a technical advisor.
Sure. So what you're saying is the communication skills are crucial, right?
Yeah.
And then leadership and team management skills.
Yes, if you take the soft skill, more, I would say soft skills. I would say number one will be the communication.
Yeah.
And because of the communication is number one, you need to know how to translate those sometimes difficult terms, technical terms, to people who are more business focused and more, for example, responsible for the money in the organization. You have to show them why you are choosing this technology and the other one, and explain why it is important.
Sure. And just because the Digital Twin is industry-focused podcast, right? I think that the knowledge of manufacturing processes and operations are crucial for digital and transformation manager working for a manufacturing company, because the DTM could be a position in a bank, in a manufacturing industry, in a chain store, like everywhere, right? But I believe that it is crucial for those digital transformation managers working within manufacturing to actually go out there and see it with their own eyes, like just be aware of what they're dealing with, because it's not just numbers, right? I mean, you have a lot of experience, like hands-on experience with the manufacturing world. Do you think that is super important or just important for the DTM to be actually aware of manufacturing processes?
It's crucial because you are responsible for the physical machines and people who are working with these machines. So understanding the processes, how they work in the production, if you are responsible for transforming the production company, it's crucial. But of course, it depends how big the company is, I would say, because you can have a scenario when you have different digital transformation managers which are responsible for different areas of business. For example, if you have a manufacturing company who is selling products using e-commerce, for example, you can have a different person who's responsible for processes on the production, and a different person who is responsible for digitalization, the sales, using the e-commerce.
Absolutely. The one more that I'd like to mention is the ability to embrace change. We all talk about change management, and unfortunately, very often it's just a buzzword that doesn't really resonate with the company. People say that we'll make sure through change management that this project will be successful, but very often it's not happening. So being able to adapt to constantly changing environment, and then being able to communicate with people on that level, I think is crucial skill. I think it is a soft skill, but I think it's as important as the ability to understand manufacturing processes.
Yeah, I think it's related with communication, but it's also related with problem solving, because your role as a digital transformation manager is to solve problems of people which are inside the company. You're not a guy who is writing the code, who is useful, and doing implementing a new technology which is hyped right now. You have to focus and choose the ones who are prioritizing because of the importance of real life problems. The other one is also analytical thinking, and it's very important because as I said, you're between different worlds. So sometimes you have to switch between talking between technical guys who are responsible for operations and the guys, for example, who are doing their daily work. Because for them, for the people who are, for example, for quality department or from finance, they are doing their job, and their another task is helping you to transform the business.
Absolutely. So let's move to like biggest challenges, and let's keep it short, and let's name two biggest challenges for the digital transformation manager. What what do you think would be the most difficult for them? And then we'll see if I have similar ones or different ones.
Okay, so for me, number one is, you already talked about it, change management. It's resistance to change, because all of us as people, we if we don't understand why company is changing, why world is changing, why someone wants from us to do something in a different way, we resist, and it's normal. So the role of the digital transformation manager is actually to make sure that the company policy regarding to communication and change management is done in the right way and in the right time. I mean, we don't make studies about the technology after the technology is already implemented, and suddenly someone is coming to work and is like, well, okay, well, what's going on? Why my workplace is way different than the day before? But we do it much earlier, in an earlier phase. We can do it actually during the sales, the purchasing process, right? We already know that we want to buy a specific technology. Why not talking about to people right away?
Sure. Is it my turn or you have another one?
You can you
Yeah.
can talk yours.
A crucial one.
Mhm.
I think I only want to focus on the crucial ones, and managing expectations of the stakeholders involved. It's ridiculous work, because in the kind of processes that we're dealing with, meaning the processes that involve sometimes 1,000 people, depending on the size of the manufacturing plant. If that person cannot manage that the stakeholders alignment, it's not gonna work. And usually there is 5-10 different stakeholders that have to agree on the strategy or on the plan. So if they are not aligned, this digitalization process will never work. So it is a very soft skill, but like super important, so the technical part of the implementation could work.
Yeah, it's good that you talked about a soft skill, because my is more, I would say, the more technical one. I mean, you need to be updated with the current technologies, right? The world is changing. Like every day we see a new applications based on AI, for example, and so on. So of course you cannot know every one of them. But you have to know that every day we have different waves to solve the same problems. And it's very difficult for one person, of course. But if you have the soft skills, developed, it's much easier to connect good people for you who will actually help you with choosing the right technologies.
Sure. The second one that I believe is crucial is making sure that the implementation of the solution that was chosen is successful. Because there's one thing is to choose the right vendor. The right vendor should obviously do the right job, but it's not very often the case, as the vendor depends on the in-house people, right? So the ability to manage and like prepare the company for successful implementation, and then making sure that this implementation is actually successful. I think this is the second most important skill set of that DTM.
Yeah, and the last one from me is one thing is defining the goals on the beginning of the project, finance goals and from other departments, And the second one is how to actually manage during the process, which can be infinite if company is constantly developing, and keep in touch with ROI and so other KPIs regarding to that.
So measuring the results, right?
Measuring the results during the process.
Okay, we talked about that DTM being a part of technical, and then having some soft skills. Please name one skill of the digital transformation manager, or maybe not the skill, maybe the background. What would be most important to you as a plant manager? Whenever you're looking for a digital transformation manager, is their background, their expertise, their knowledge, their experience? What would be most important to you?
Okay, so who will be the best fitted candidate for me? I would say it will be person who had a engineering background, because he learned in the past, he studied engineering, he knows the technology, but after a while he was developing more soft skills, and now he's currently, from few years, he's a manager. It's the best candidate because he has the background, so he knows how to talk to technical people, and also he knows how to manage and have soft skills for that. And I think we are going fluent to a next step, and we can talk about who will be the best candidate. Because, for example, the profile is, as I said, but if you don't have digital transformation manager right now in your company, I would say you have two ways how to choose one, right? You can hire someone from internally, or you can hire someone from outside. And I would like to talk about that maybe. Well, what's your expertise?
I'm always a big fan of hiring people from the inside of the organization. Always a fan. And then, because when you're hiring people from the outside of the organization, it might be a good hire, it might not be a good hire, right? But it takes 3 to 6 months before you figure this out. So my ideal scenario would be, to look for the talent that is proven, that already has a relationship with the company, and people know that person, promote that person, but also support their activities with some external consultants that are really, really good in what they do. They've done it 100 times. So we have, the whole process kind of, taken care of, because we have in-house people that we know, and we know they will be trying. We know they are ready to take on the challenge, but we also have people that are super skilled at digitalization, and then you just make them work together, and not make them work together, but create environment for them to work together, and then you can relax, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it depends on the company, but you have to balance and think about what will be his day-to-day work. His day-to-day work will be talking to other people from inside of the company. I would say it will be 60% of time. So most of the times it will be people on the same corporate level, right? So I'm not your boss, and still you have to do something for me. I cannot use a corporate force. My tool is soft skills. So if I know you from years, for example, it could be much easier to find a common background ground, right? To talk about. So of course it's a good way to promote someone from inside. Minus of this scenario is that you are taking someone who already is who already knows the environment, but also sometimes he doesn't see something which could be even obvious from someone who is from outside. So the question is, it is easier to learn the processes inside of the company and learn how people work, or it is easier to learn the job, because if you don't have a role of digital transformation manager in your company, it means that you have to promote someone who have to learn the job from inside, not hiring someone from outside who already was a digital transformation manager.
If you had to sum it up,
yeah,
what would you say? Internal or external recruitment?
If I had to hire only one person
Mhm.
and the entire digital transformation team, it will be just one guy and everything will be outsourced.
Mhm.
I would say I will take someone from internal.
Mm.
If it will be a bigger team, I would say I will balance between internal and external.
Okay. So if we talk about the DTM, and it's a very unique skill set and position. Would you rather have someone that is highly educated, in this area, or someone that has tons of experience in that area?
I think experience is something worth more than gold.
Mm-hmm.
But it depends, right? Because you can have someone really experienced, but who is experienced on the technology, who is and he's not up to date. And I think it's not the place for someone like that. But I would prefer someone who is highly experienced, but also he is up to date, so he knows what's going on currently and what's better, what's not better.
Okay, so we already know that this is a super challenging job, right? To be a DTM in especially in manufacturing company, I think. Then how to be successful, being a digital transformation manager?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is important when we're talking about not just being okay, but being successful at this DTM job?
Okay, so I think there's a few things which is important. First one would be that you have to always constantly learn.
Mm-hmm.
And education, which you asked me before, education is the king, but we have so many information right now in the internet, in every one of our pockets. In our pockets nowadays, there's the whole knowledge of the world, you can say. So not only constantly improvement and constantly learning, but also a skill, what information are most important right now. And I think it's not only a good skill for digital transformation manager, but it's crucial for him because, as I said, there's 100,000 possibilities to solve any kind of problem nowadays, right? And you have to be, you have to have eyes around your head and know, constantly analyze what would be the best fitted right now.
Sure. I think a strong relationship with stakeholders, I believe I mentioned already, but strong relationships with stakeholders, and then the ability to communicate, the needs or to communicate the progress of the digital transformation process, super important. And I cannot emphasize this enough, but ability to communicate, one of the most important ones. And then when dealing with many stakeholders, super difficult to align them, super difficult to find out, how to align them and then how to implement this process successfully. But also, I think being proactive is crucial, because I think digital transformation is all about being proactive. It's not about following the companies that have implemented something several years ago. It's it might be a good strategy because you can find out what worked and then implement what worked. But on the other hand, if you keep doing that, you're always gonna be running legacy systems. You're always gonna be sitting in the in the back seat of that digital transformation car. And the last one I'd like to mention is how do you measure success? I think this is crucial because we all have those initiatives that we are running. What is success? Like, how do you define success when implementing digital transformation, and then the ability to measure it in the real time, and then adjust it if needed.
One thing, because in digital transformation, you have to have someone who has a leader for this transformation. It could be a digital transformation. It could be someone from C-level of the company, because people will follow strong leadership. And if digital transformation manager have a support from someone from C-level, it will be much easier to adopt, to tell people how to adopt to changes. And your question was about how to measure the success, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it's related with this people following. I mean, you can buy anything you want, but if people are not using it in the way which is efficient to company, it means that there's no place for success. So you always have to you always can measure success by a return of investment. For example, you can measure how many costs did you cut because of investment, but also how many what was, for example, how the quality of your product or service goes up, how much market could you get from it. So I think there's different areas, but the most crucial one is if this implementation of a project, because it's always a project, it has the business KPIs, but also the usefulness.
Sure. I think that was a great summary. I don't think we should do takeaways today, as this was, this episode was just full of, full of knowledge. So I would keep it this way. I wouldn't do any takeaways unless you like to do a takeaway.
No, I think we're good. Summarize it in a good way.
Yeah. So thank you, and we'll see you next week, I guess.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.